This simple, short video lecture is meant to serve as a quick introduction to IBM's SPSS statistics program. The data used throughout this lecture can be found in the video description below. So when you first load up IBM's SPSS statistics, you're going to see a screen similar to what is depicted here. Now, yours will be blank. There will not be any data populated in these variable columns, and the variables also will not have any observations contained within them. So to get your data imported into the SPSS editor, you're going to need to follow these steps. You're going to need to go to File, you're going to go to Import Data, and then you have to select which format your original data is stored in. So if you're importing an Excel document, it would be Excel, CSV, text, SPSS, and so on and so forth. Once you select the appropriate format, you'll be presented with a menu which will give you a couple options as to how your data ought to be formatted as it's being imported into the SPSS data editor. So go ahead and follow those after you select the appropriate format and select the location of your data. Now, once your data is imported, and again, you can import the data which is in CSV format in the video description, you should come to see something which resembles what we have here, this sample data. And our sample data has 5 variables, and each variable has 7 observations. Because remember, our column headers, those are our variables, and our rows, those are our observations. So if we wanted to take a look at the particular variables themselves, assuming that we had already performed some editing and some additions to our data as it was imported, we could just wave our mouse above each variable. And this will tell us the name of the variable. Whoop, excuse me. It will tell us the name of the variable, the label, the type, and the measure. And you can do that for any of the variables within your data within the editor and be informed of those particular characteristics. Now, something else that you can do here is you can click on this button right here, and this button will cycle between value labels. So these would be observation labels for your variables and the actual variables themselves, sans the label. So if you give this a click, it'll toggle through. So as you can see, the variable Q2 contains the values of 0 and 1, and those observations, each observation of 1 is labeled as male, and each observation of 0 is labeled as female. So this screen, this IBM SPSS data editor screen, the initial screen with data view selected, this would be where you would edit your data and make additions to observations or delete observations. So if you wanted to add another individual, maybe his name is Max, you could put him in there, and then you could make additions to the observations related to Max. If you wanted to remove Max, this observation entry, you would just right-click and clear. And there we are. And if you wanted to clear all of it, each related observation, you would right-click on the number 8 or whatever row your data is contained within, and then just go to clear, and that would clear all the entries for the row. Now, let us take a look at the variable view. So variable view is where you would make changes to the variables themselves, not the observations contained therein, but the variables, the labels of those variables, the variable type, and any observational labels as well. So we have our variable names, Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4, Q5. If we wanted to change the names of these variables, say we wanted to change Q1 to QA, we could do it here, hit enter, and then we will click on the Data View tab. And as you can see, our variable name has been changed to QA. But let's not do that. Let's keep that as Q1. So I'm going to put 1 there, and as you can see, it's now been changed back. If we wanted to change the measure, either ordinal or nominal, we could do that here in this particular column. We could do that for any of the variables. If we wanted to change the variable label, that could be achieved here. So as we were observing in our prior tab, the variable label can be viewed from the editor by just putting your mouse above the variable. So as you can see, this label is gender. So Q2 is the name of the variable, and the label is gender, and it's a numeric type. This is the width and decimal places for the variable. If it is a variable which is numeric, we would have to be concerned with decimals. But if it's string, we have to be concerned with width, because that's how many characters are contained within the variable. And if we wanted to change the variable type, whether it be string, numeric, dollar, date, etc., we would select from the type column and proceed. Now, finally, before I believe we're going to end this video, and we'll pick it up on in another video, perhaps we'll do a part 2. If we wanted to change observation labels or add or remove observation labels, we would have to select from the values column the particular variable which we were interested in making modifications for, and click these 3 dots here. So for example, we have perhaps Q5, which is favorite genre of music, or label FavGenre. And as you can see, there are labels assigned to these values. But if we wanted to change, say, which 0 was labeled, what 1 was labeled, what 2 was labeled, what 3 was labeled, for, in this case, every instance of 0 is specifying a instance, as far as labels are concerned, of metal. 1 is labeled as classical, and 2 is labeled as pop, and so on and so forth. But let's say that instead of metal, we wanted value 0 to be labeled grunge. So we're just changing the observation labels. So we go ahead and do that here and click OK. And now you can see that our observation values of 0, only as they occur within variable Q5, now indicate grunge, as they've been labeled as such. And if we wanted to add another observational value label to this, perhaps for a value which is not yet represented within our data set, we would just click the plus button, and we could say 5 stands for perhaps it could be nu metal. And then in that instance, every observation of 5 within variable Q5 would be displayed as nu metal. And if we wanted to delete any of these particular value labels, we would just select them and then click on this X here. And X is indicating delete. So this is where we're going to end for this particular video. We'll pick it up in the subsequent video. If you enjoyed this content, please consider liking and subscribing, maybe leave a comment. We need to get the word out so we can help as many people as possible. Best of luck with your research and your application. Take care.